Welcome to the Fuck the Generational Wealth Gap podcast. I'm your host, Elise Alexander, your go-to femme when it comes to all the baggage that comes with codependency and perfectionism. It's not an easy trip, but you better bet your ass it's worth it and you are worthy of it. So today's episode is going to be, I guess, in line with the series that we've been doing, and we're going to talk about mental wealth. And I'm really excited about that because I feel like not everybody really understands what emotional wealth and mental wealth and physical wealth really are because they've never defined it for themselves and they've never redefined it in what it is that they really want it to be. So we are going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to talk about what is mental wealth. We're going to talk about how do you redefine it? How do you define it in general? We're going to talk about, can you lose mental wealth? We're also going to talk about, is it hard to be mentally wealthy as a recovering codependent and perfectionist? We are also going to talk about, why is it important to be mentally wealthy as an entrepreneur? And the last question that I'm going to answer today is, how do I keep my mental wealth as priority? And I'm really, really interested on how you guys feel about mental wealth and how you connect with what you want it to be versus what it is for you currently. So let's start. What is mental wealth? I would say mental wealth for me is the ability for the brain to keep itself healthy, because people see mental and mentality, they don't always see brain. But there's a lot going on up here. There's a lot that happens all around. So really, mental wealth is your ability to keep your mind right. It's your ability to sit in the uncomfortable. And I'm not talking about the emotions, I'm talking about the mentality. When you have a mentality that doesn't quite fit to you, whether it is an intention or whether it is an affirmation that you are looking to be. Say it is, I want to be financially wealthy. And say maybe it doesn't quite fit to you, like it doesn't feel like you can quite believe it yet, because we need to add another word in there. And the other word is, I am willing to be financially wealthy. But when you don't add those words together, then your mind kind of sits in this uncomfortable place where it doesn't know where to go, because you're like, no, 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 you're financially wealthy. And your brain's like, no, 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 that's not what's going on. And you're trying to force it into something rather than just allowing it to be, and to be in the abundance and not just be in lack. So to me, mental wealth has a lot to do with being able to be comfortable in the current situation that you're in and allowing your mind to keep up and to continue to deal and go about things as you go along, instead of kind of fight, flight, get out of here, can't do this situation. So can you lose it? 100%, I think you can lose mental wealth. I think you can gain it. I think you could give it away the next day, because mental wealth is something that comes from inside of us. It's something that we have to look for, that we have to grasp onto. It's not something you can ask someone else. How is it that you handle your own mental wealth? Because it's going to be different for everybody. For me, mental wealth is very important to me because mental health is very important to me. And I acknowledged very quickly that it's very easy to get lost up here, because someone told me a long time ago, your brain is a dangerous neighborhood. Do not go there alone. And I truly believe that, because it's really hard to see the label of the bottle when you're inside the bottle. Sometimes you need help. So can you lose it? 100%. But also, can you gain it back? Can you gain mental wealth back? And this is what's really powerful. It does not matter what age. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter where you came from. You are capable of massive, abundant mental wealth. You are. Neuroplasticity is such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful concept. And it is the brain's way of healing itself. And you can do it no matter what age you are, no matter what's going on, no matter what's happening, because the brain naturally knows how to heal itself. But you have to be willing to override and basically biohack yourself from the inside out. But I think it's really important to show that it is possible to gain it back no matter what point in time. So, next thing that we're going to talk about is it hard to be mentally wealthy as a recovering codependent and as a recovering perfectionist? Let me put both hands up here. Yes, it is extremely hard to gain that mental wealth with such recovering um, coping skills that make it harder to step into that. So, what do I mean by that? When you are codependent, you very much are focused on someone else. You're very focused on basically getting an answer for someone else or really focusing on someone else on how to get something. When you are mentally wealthy, you are independently wealthy. It is not like, oh, you're happy, so I'm happy. No. This is not you're mentally wealthy, so I'm mentally wealthy. It is a tool that we have to use for each of us. It's not like looking on Instagram and being like, oh, like they seem cool. Let me just like add these tips in and it'll work. You have to make it work for you. So people might give you tips just like me, and you have to implement them. And if they don't work, you tweak them. And if you don't work, they tweak them again. So for me, it's been very difficult to be mentally wealthy because I always thought that it was someone else's responsibility to give me happy or to make me joyful. And if someone else was unhappy, I was unhappy. So it's been very difficult to step out of that, to step into my own mental wealth being my own responsibility, because it is our responsibility to be able to create a happy ecosystem up there. Because let's be honest, it's easier to shift into the negative ecosystem. It's easier to shift into the negative mentality. But that's why we're here. So that we continue to impact and so that we can continue to serve. So, something else that has also been difficult for me is that it's your own decision. No one else can make your mental wealth come to you. You are the only one who can heal you. You are the only one who can get up there and say, hey, these don't sound like my voices. These don't feel like something I would say. And maybe they're not your beliefs. Maybe they're not your core values. But how would we know if we never asked ourselves the question? Letting go of perfectionism has probably been the hardest thing that I am learning continually on a daily basis to do. Because when you are looking to be mentally wealthy and you want to be a perfectionist, you can't do both at the same time. They do not exist in the same place because there is no perfect version of mentally wealthy. And that's what I want to show you is there is no perfect version of what it looks like. But we see it in movies, TV shows, podcasts of this perfect version of your mind of what it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to think about this. You're not supposed to think about food or sex or any of the bad things or any of the pleasure things either, because that's just how we've been taught in society. But it's so not true. And I'm so excited to unravel that for each of us and what it means to us. So, why is it important as an entrepreneur? I believe deeply that mental wealth brings us one place: longevity. And I don't know about you, but I'm not someone who wants to learn a skill and then all of a sudden 3 weeks have to learn a new skill. And then all of a sudden 3 weeks later have to learn a new skill because I want to learn one skill that will scale in each segment so that I don't have to relearn something new and start over every 10 seconds to figure out how to keep myself wealthy and how to hold that energy for a long period of time. Because let's be honest, longevity is the name of the game. You can be rich for several years, but if you really want to create wealth and lasting wealth that closes the generational gap, then we get to really focus on how to get to longevity, on how to be 120, on how to continue to create our impact for a long period of time, because that's what's meant to be. That's what we are capable of doing in this day and age. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to do here together. Why is it also important as an entrepreneur to have such a high mental wealth? I would say that it gives you not just longevity, but better relationships, more communication. It gives you trust. And when you have all of those things, there's joy. And when there's joy, you make more money, you're happier. Everyone around you is happier. Your employees are happier. And at the end of the day, you can sit with yourself and go to sleep and say, you know what? It was a good day. You know what? I gave it what I got. You know what? I know that I'm okay in here. Because let's be honest, about like 60% of my conversations happen up here rather than me speaking. And we talk to ourselves a lot. We talk to ourselves all the time, all day. And yet, have you ever asked yourself why you ask yourself certain questions? Have you ever asked, what is mental health? Have you ever asked, do I have good mental health? Because health is wealth. And when you have all of those things, you make more money. You can be wealthier. But that's where we start. That's the basis. Because people think it starts with money. It doesn't. It starts with mental, emotional wealth. So, lastly, we are going to have a beautiful, beautiful conversation about being in control of your mind. Because no one else is in control of your feelings, your mind, your ability to create, and your ability to step into yourself. These are blocks, unfortunately, that we all create on our own, that have been manipulated and forced and pushed, but we're the ones at the gate saying, no, 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 don't open the gate. I think that might be a little bit too much. And then you ask yourself, why am I having like all of these like mental breakdowns? Why am I thinking that something is happening when something's not? Why am I not thinking that something's happening when something is? Why are my relationships turning? Why do I feel like I'm not enough? These are the questions I started to ask myself, because what I noticed was that you could be rich and not mentally wealthy. And I'm going to repeat that again. You can be rich and not mentally wealthy. Because when you are rich, there's no need for any of the background stuff. But that's when you're a money chaser, not a purpose chaser. We are purpose chasers here. So to be a purpose chaser, you want to be wealthy. Because if someone takes your money or takes your company or takes something else, what do you have? Well, if you've been building your whole life for your company and not supporting yourself, you got nothing. But if you grow your mental wealth, if you're able to sustain yourself, if you're able to be uncomfortable more often than not, you will grow. You will push yourself and you will maintain this ability to care for yourself first, so that you can create a legacy. So that if something happens, someone takes their money, someone takes your valuables, you still have so much wealth left. Because here's one thing I know to be true: they can take everything you got, but guess what? You learned how to do it once, so you can fucking do it again. And that's what's truly powerful about wealth, is if you can create wealth, no matter who takes it away, you can continually implement and continually implement and continually implement and get back to where you want to be. So, how do I keep my mental wealth a priority? I'm going to give you a couple of tips and then I'm going to leave you with an exit question. I have timers on my phone to check in about my mental health, to check in about what it is that I'm thinking about. I have also done exercises to where a full day went by and I wrote down every single thought that I had. And oh boy, did you not want to read that list by the end of the time, because there are automatic thoughts that come up in here that you don't even have reasons for. that generally just come up, that generally just come back. So I'm going to ask you guys to keep your mind sharp and to truly have yourself enjoy and say to yourself before you get out of bed, today's going to be a great fucking day. And just know it, feel it, embrace it. And don't get me wrong, there are days that I get up on the wrong side of the bed and I have to bring myself back and meditate maybe an extra time. But what I really want to show you is when your mind is calm, you are capable of anything. It's also when you receive the most amount of clarity, the most amount of creativity, the most amount of conceptry, and the most amount of what is coming next for you in your life. And what I want to leave you with is an exit question. I want to ask you, what are the mental thoughts that are coming into your head every single day? And are they keeping you wealthy or are they bringing you into lack? And I hope that you are able to sit with that and see it for what it is. There is no good, there is no bad. It's just about finding somewhere to start. Because for me, I had a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of limiting beliefs and a lot of mental uh, what would you even call that? Evidence to where it wasn't right for me and to where it didn't feel good to me. But I had to ask myself, hmm, you know what? Where did that thought come from? You know what? Do I even think that? Or is that generally just something that like came out of my head? I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it. And when you think something, it becomes powerful. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you have a wonderful, healthy, wealthy, and worthy day. And I will see you guys next Friday. I'm so grateful for you.